You sure you can tell the difference between him and I?
Huh?
You can tell the difference between him and I?
I can.
I can. Your voice is
Deeper. A little bit.
Well, I don't
clearer,
know.
a little louder,
Yeah.
a little more assertive, maybe.
So much bigger with that angled wall here. Really, it didn't take up that much space, which is.
I walked through this morning, they got all the office furniture assembled. We could have a meeting at the sheriff's conference room today.
There's no internet there.
No internet up there.
Yeah.
So how long did it take them to get that car in there this way?
It wasn't here, but she's been here before.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
It made me chuckle. It did make me laugh.
She has been here before.
Okay, is there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
I have none. There's no additions or correction on the motion to approve the agenda.
Then moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next we have is approval of the minutes from last week. Any questions on those?
I thought the minutes read well, very accurate. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the October 25th meeting.
I'll second.
Then moved and seconded to approve the minutes of October 25th. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next we have Zach, secondary road.
Morning. A couple utility permits today. First one is for West Central Rural Water. This is putting a service into a resident in Maple River. Born underneath Hill Street, tying into the existing main for that address. So don't see any issues with that. If you have any questions.
They did a lot of work.
They did.
So did we approve all that work?
We did. They did. There was like 6 or so of places they got water to. That was when that permit went through. I'd say it was early this spring, if I remember correctly.
Right.
We've had several minutes for up there.
Right. So I know they're, and I'm assuming they'll probably keep coming. They'll keep
Adding people.
here and there as they go with having water there. So depends on when the property owner is in need of it, I suppose. But been pretty good to work with on it for the most part. So.
Okay, you want these separately?
Yeah, maybe since they're really two different, completely different
Okay, is
things.
there any other questions on this one?
I'll make a motion to approve the West Central Iowa rural water permit, utility permit in Maple River.
Second.
Then moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried.
Thank you. Second one is for Mid-American Energy. It's a service across Olympic Avenue or underneath Olympic Avenue for 33302 Olympic Avenue, just getting a new service to that location. So
That's a Newton,
it's existing acreage for the
but that's a Newton.
Oh, sorry about that. We didn't put it on the front. I don't have it with me right now. I can get it to you, but I don't have it. Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah,
I don't, but I'm not sure what
What's the address?
It's 33,302. Olympia Avenue.
Any questions on that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Construction update, our box culvert on Velvet Avenue is complete. It's been complete for a little while. I haven't been here for a couple of weeks, but it's took them about 3 days or whatever. They had that put back together, so we have a little bit of fence work to put back, but other than that, it's done and ready to go. So our other box culvert on Sycamore Avenue, we're hoping that contractor's gonna be moving in next week to get that one knocked out. So that one will take a little bit longer, a little more fill, a little bigger box, but sounds like overall the weather sounds pretty decent. Yeah. So,
Precast.
yep, this next one's a 16 by 10 precast box. So. And as far as our own crews, we are still working on trying to get the earthwork done on our shoulders up by Lanesboro. Might not get there this week, but next week we'll be back up there trying to get that finished up for the year, hopefully. So that's kind of what we have going on for construction. Any questions for me?
Still working on drain 77.
Yeah.
Options.
Yeah, I found some information on that, Rich. Sometime I should get with you on what has been done in the past as far as, and it was a lot more detailed than what was done as far as cleanup on that. But I did talk to Dave a little bit as well. So
How many years ago was it?
Probably about 6, 7, maybe.
oh, it's been more than that, I think. I think it was 12 or it was before 2010.
They harvest tree up.
Yeah.
The whole thing from like Grant Road?
Well, yeah, it was.
No, there was somebody went in since I've been on the board. Cleaned up.
It hasn't been any place since I've been.
When you say cleaned up, you mean tree removal?
Tree and some, not a lot, but I know there was some.
It would, and that's the biggest thing is how much we're gonna do. I mean, it's a,
We can go back and look at drain 77, right?
Yeah.
What we paid out of that drain and that gave us a little bit of idea. When the work was done, how much.
And I just can't remember. I thought for sure it was more than 10 years ago, but it might not have
It
been.
doesn't make any difference, I don't think.
But I know they got quotes from 2 local companies and they went down that path. And it worked okay. There was some good and bad, I think, with how that worked. After talking to Dave a little bit, but we'll have to come up with the game plan of how we want to handle it and go from there. But it's,
Well, I think the biggest problem we have is you got some people that live on the ones keep certain trees that are drier and are causing a problem.
well, and that's, if we minimize a little bit what we're doing and work on just the channel, the bottom portion of the channel, I think we have reason to take out anything we need to. If we stay off the upper banks, then I think we'll be okay. But
My opinion, if we stay within 5 or 6 feet of the center of the waterway, I think that might be our.
I think then we wouldn't have a whole lot of issues. And some people would like to leave it exactly how it is, but unfortunately, it's a drainage way that needs to stay a drainage way. I mean, that's what it's there for, so.
But just keep it in mind and
Definitely will.
see if we can move forward on that a little bit, when we get a chance.
Yep, I will.
So when you walk, is there a lot of other stuff in the size of trees?
Not as much as I thought there could be. There's
Anticipated, it wasn't as much as I anticipated, but there is some.
There's some. Yeah, actually, the flow line of channel is actually relatively open. I mean, it's not too bad in most places. I mean, I don't think it's probably as bad as what it was previously when we've done something. Doesn't mean we don't need to do something, but I don't think it's maybe as bad as what it was then, just by
As far as being overgrown.
overgrown and stuff.
The chunks of concrete seem to collect the junk.
Mhm.
But also, I don't see any sense of trying to remove those because I think it does stop some of the water flow from getting erosion from getting out of hand.
Right.
So,
Any way we can minimize the disturbance to that bank and leave it intact, I think, yeah, we're gonna be better off, so,
we don't want to create a cave off situation,
right.
get ourselves trapped in a bigger mess.
Up until recently, it doesn't rain anyway, so we worry about it.
That's true. That's why a lot of the sitting there still, it hasn't been cleaned out.
Well, I think we're sick and it's kind of hard to get in there. That's the big-
It's a lot of handwork, is really what it's gonna have to be. There's just no, even getting material, brush in and out. I mean, there's just no good access, a lot of places, not everywhere, but a lot of places, there's just.
It's too late.
Mhm.
Thanks, Zach.
Okay. Any other questions for Zach? Okay. Anything else, Zach?
Nope, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Okay, next
Thanks.
we're going to quarterly report.
How's everyone going?
Good morning, Noel.
So this will be the quarterly report for July to September of 2021. Had a lot going on this month, this last 3 months in IT, as you can see. General courthouse assistance just covers like our tickets, the software support, messing with printers and equipment, or just any general PC repair. Obviously, we do Windows servers and PC updates all the time. Ben and I usually do those on the weekends or at night when nobody's here. Been making sure all our network equipment's all security patched and everything due to the rash of ransomware we've had going around in the States. So we did get a door lock complete. So the key fobs that get you in and out of courthouse, that was done this quarter. And we actually have an expansion scheduled for that. So that way, when you use your key fob, all the doors will open on that side instead of just one. Got some panic buttons scheduled to be installed in the courts, which that was actually installed last week. Ben and I both been attending some ransomware seminars just to keep ourselves up to date what's going around. Obviously, we've done some meetings with ICIT on that too. Worked on some HIPAA compliance. We ended up signing that deal with Garage and started getting ourselves compliant, write the policy, going through making security changes throughout the courthouse to meet HIPAA compliancy. We did complete the phone project inside the courthouse, so the courthouse does have new phones. We're still working on getting them out to the Fricky, the conservation engineer and ambulance. That is actually pending our firewall project that we need to get done there first. So we did get the firewall project done for the courthouse, but once again, we still have to do the Fricky conservation engineer and ambulance. Been working on moving our server up to the jail. We have that new network room that we built up there. We were waiting on the elevators to get done because we can't carry a server stack up the stairs. So elevators are up now and working. Let's see, the beginning of September, we got the phone lines going in that, and it's been getting approved at the end of September, the elevators themselves. Of course, been preparing for the election. We had the Manning School election at the beginning of September we took care of. And now we have the next election coming up here tomorrow. Got a ballot box camera mounted, so that way out front, we actually have a front door camera now where we can see traffic coming in and out and who's touching that ballot box. Out at the engineer, we've done a few things. I put an access point down in the garage to get a little better Wi-Fi signal for the guys in the shop. And then we set them up with it's a workstation that's on a cart. So that way, if they want to roll up to a vehicle and they're looking stuff up, they can ping off that Wi-Fi and have a desktop right there on a cart working for them. It's got a battery that runs on it, so hopefully making their lives a little easier. Flooded out the IT office. Nothing was ruined, thank God. But that we were doing a cleanup in there and a water pipe was bumped and ended up causing a little damage there. But that's all cleaned up now, and We have a lot less boxes and old junk in the IT office now, so. Had a couple new employees come through. The jail had, I think, 2 or 3 that came through in the last 3 months here. And then, of course, the treasurer had the one move. And we got the new treasurer employee also that we set up. That requires us to order the email license, get them set up in Active Directory, make sure all the permissions are right. Been doing our switch upgrades still, so we're trying to get prepared where we can connect the jail network into this one. So once we have that, our servers and everything moved over there, there's really no difference that way. But most of that is done also. The sheriff's office did get a new K9 vehicle that you guys approved. We did a lot of the work with that, getting the laptop ready for that, getting the internet going in the car. We did have a few connectivity issues, which we figured out to be some cables that were actually bad in the new installation. We got those all figured out. Last quarter, we did the swap over for the internet that runs in the sheriff's cars. They're having some GPS issues on tracking, but it was something that we have worked on and figured out. We put the TVs up around the courthouse. Everybody saw those. The postings that go up on there, generally the IT office has been editing those postings so they actually fit the TV and kind of look right. Been assisting the courts also. So with the new phone system, they no longer have the ability to update their message for the juror line. So Ben and I have been doing the recordings for that weekly for them. What else is? We also, so in preparation for in the Freaky building to get the new phone system over there, we did spend a day running phone lines throughout the Freaky building so we could get all the new phones there and they can have good quality lines. Any questions for me?
How many panic buttons are there in the building?
It depends.
Well, I mean, you said you just installed new ones for the
court, so the courts have them. I can tell you the auditor's office has them.
Every office.
Yeah,
has one.
yeah.
Like we have 2.
Yeah.
There's one in the old boardroom. I'd say 2 to 3 in each office.
Yeah. Which, yeah.
On the door locks on the outside doors. Do you lock those?
That's all automated.
So it's on a timer?
Yep.
And automatic. Can you lock those?
Yes.
So that if there's you need to go to a lockdown or anything like that, you can manually lock those doors.
Yep. Anytime. And then like for holidays and stuff like that, that's automatically scheduled in there. So when Courtney releases like the holiday list, I go in and add it to the system. So that way those days, when the courthouse will typically be open, it automatically locks, especially if it falls on a weekday.
So what about after hour meetings, like say the conference board or something like that meets? Will they contact you or someone contact?
Or the DLS, yeah, either way. So the eventual, what we're working on with the comm center right now, been working with Motorola and the comm center. So that way, when you come to that east door, they can actually buzz you in. So they're gonna have a button on their console where you come to the door, you cue them, say, hey, I'm here for the meeting, click the button, it pops open.
Okay.
So that was the eventual plan. That way we could proctor who comes in and out that way.
So like tomorrow night, obviously we'll be here late because it's an election. Can we manually unlock the front door so the door stays open?
You cannot, I can, but obviously if you do your.
So you can't take that little
Keep on.
Allen wrench thing and,
You can do that, sorry. Yes.
oh, okay.
My bad.
Because I'll just do that.
Yes, you can do that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Because all that our system does, it just pulls that bar in.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's got a magnet inside there. So that push bar you press when you go out, the magnet pulls it in when it has that, the unlocked. So as soon as you unlock that, it just bypasses the whole system. So,
Because I'll probably just do it on the one side.
yeah. No problem.
Okay.
Are you doing the website?
Not that I know
We
of.
have, because that handicap accessibility. We started on that once. but I don't know
So-
if we-
I never received the message to post up there. You're talking about the disability thing you want to post on there.
Yeah, that and the mental health.
Yeah, I need the posting to put on there and we'll get it up
Okay, and
there.
need to reroute that also.
Yep, all that is just a link that goes to another website, so that's not that big a deal. Yeah, what I did put on there, we do the, obviously the website updates weekly. We have a software that runs on the website and looks for dead links.
Okay.
So if there's a link that was posted that went to like an Iowa website that they changed where like a form was, I'll actually get a report each month that tells me those are dead too. So kind of interesting.
Because I know at one time we were trying to get our website, so it's what we call handicap accessible.
Yeah.
Very good.
Is there a lot left for you to do for the jail to go live?
Yeah.
Lots.
Well, I wouldn't say that. It's just the unknown. I mean, like for instance, last week we had, whenever the cars pull up, they download like all their camera footage and stuff automatically through a Wi-Fi device I have out there. Well, that really wasn't thought of because originally we were going to park downstairs, so we were going to put it down there, hook it to the network. But now I had to come up with a way. So we're going to now mount a satellite on the side of the building facing the north parking lot. So that's just an example of just something that popped up. Now we got to have a contractor come in, run a line, get it mounted, and then get it programmed. So it just seems like there's always this weird stuff coming up that puts us a little further behind. So,
But you're not waiting on any of the contractors for the jail to complete your mission? So to
no, the only one I was really waiting on was the elevators. So like we were told to get the elevators up like soon. So the beginning of September, we got the phones in, made sure the phones were working, and then they didn't come back to certify them, I think, until end of October in last month. So it just took forever for them to come out and certify them so we could actually use them. But now if we go out there, they're on maintenance mode. So if you jump in them, you can hold the button, it'll take you to the floor. So that was the only way to get my server up to that third floor was to use those elevators. Because at the courts, there's the steps going up there. No way to carry that up. So. Any other questions? No, from me?
So getting back to this satellite, that downloads off those cars when you drive by?
When they park up there, yeah, we have one now. It's just, it's on the east parking lot right now. Think of it like more like a Wi-Fi device, I guess. It's like a Wi-Fi access point. So as soon as they pull up, you can't see the network, but they can connect to it. And that's how it talks back to our servers and downloads everything. So.
off their body cam?
Car, yeah. Their body cams download the car, and the footage of the car. So that way they don't have to, because a lot of people have to bring it all in and put it on the dock and let it download. You pull it in and forget about it. So kind of nice, handy.
Okay, any other questions for Dalton? Okay, thank you, Dalton.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have is a Class B native wine permit for the Barn Owl Gift and Greenhouse.
They don't get too rowdy over there. I'll make a motion.
Your next door neighbor, pretty calm.
You tried to what?
You approve that one permit.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the Class B native wine permit for Barn Owl Gift and Greenhouse. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next we have is discuss an approval proposal from Untitled Technology for fixed asset software. Courtney, I'm going to turn that over to you.
All right, just a little bit of background. So when we had the state auditors do our auditing services, they provided us an Excel spreadsheet that did our assets for us. That's something the auditors want to see every year. Anything you buy over $5,000, it's put on there. It's tracked, it's appreciated. Well, the spreadsheet that the state gave us had a useful life of 10 years. So after 10 years, that program just quits working. And it's not really a program, it's an Excel spreadsheet that they designed with their formulas and everything in it. Well, we're actually required to have something to track our assets. So I knew when we got Tyler, we didn't get the asset portion of the software because we had the spreadsheet that we were using from the state. So Now that that's not working, we haven't had anything to track. We're still tracking our assets, but there's no calculation, no formula being done. So this is a quote from Tyler to add the fixed asset portion of their software to our current software. So you can see the annual software is $1865. And then they have some service fees totaling $28.50. And then I think that the professional services is going to be more the training portion of it, so $2,600. So they're saying the contract total is $47.15. I actually thought it'd be more than this. I was kind of surprised that it was under $5,000, but right now we're in need of something. I didn't realize until this summer that we didn't really have anything to keep our assets with. And the auditors are going to want to see that when they come. I mean, you can look at other ways to track them, but I thought since we're using this software already to do payables, it's going to be more seamless where you're going to enter a payable. And I believe there's an option when you enter the payable, just mark it as an asset and then it automatically goes on the list rather than having to keep track and then going to a spreadsheet and then putting them on. This will do it when we're actually putting in claims versus the other way. So should be more, I think, more accurate and a little bit easier.
So the one-time fee is $4,715 and an annual.
Well,
update.
you know, like anything, there's gonna be an annual cost. I'll have to verify this with them, but it's my understanding with the annual that 1865 is gonna be ongoing. Would be my understanding, because that says annual software. The other stuff's just services. So I think that's the one time. And they're saying on that second page, reoccurring fees, 1865. So along with the hefty bill we already pay them, there's going to be an additional almost $2,000 to that if you guys approve this. So I'm not sure, you know, right now the software maintenance and stuff comes out of the IT department. I don't know if Dalton can absorb this in his budget. I'll have to talk with him about that. If he's not able to, because you're talking almost $5,000, this would probably be a budget amendment at some point this year too. So we're able to pay for that. I'd say we could wait and just get it after July, but the auditors are going to be here next week. And they're going to want to know where our fixed assets are. We're going to have to explain that we're transitioning to this. And I think they'll be okay with it. We'll just have to give it to them when we get it done, but.
So you're wanting to get this done so they can utilize it and show that.
Yeah.
So the spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet that you were using before, so if you entered it, it would automatically go into that spreadsheet. Is that the way it was? Or?
No, we'd actually have to, like, and Joanne usually did that. If she was entering claims and she saw a claim for $6,000 for equipment, she'd make a copy of that invoice, set it aside, and then she'd put that into the spreadsheet, you know, when she had some time. So it was, you know, we were doing claims in our software, but doing the spreadsheet was actually an additional step. With this, you're going to enter the claim, and I believe there's a place to mark at that point that that's an asset, and then it automatically goes into.
You give it a threshold.
That's-
and then you
yeah.
transfer it over.
So now it's
So
kind
they're
of a
not
two-
really, they weren't really the same.
No, right now it's a two-step process. You enter the claim, you see it, then you go back over to the spreadsheet and you do it.
And it becomes a one.
Yeah, and you know, we don't enter the claims for roads, and roads is one of the, probably has a majority of our assets, you know, just because the things that you buy are very expensive, equipment, things like that, and they have a lot of it. So when Amy's entering those, she'll be able to do that herself, and right now, I think, yes. Yeah, they have the same thing we do, she just only has access to like the payables. So she can go in, she can create her own vendors, she can enter all her invoices, and we do that because they have so many.
Right.
And
they change.
you know, it's just the way it's always been done, is that they've entered their own claims. it seems to work.
That part works good. The fixed asset thing, just my history on that, what County did this, and it took some learning curve and issues getting all the old stuff into the new Tyler system. That was not an easy process, and might have been some just communication issues between different offices to some extent, but
'Cause we've kept ours up.
yeah, I mean, and because we have spreadsheets that show all of our stuff right now, which
Yeah.
I'm sure tie into what the spreadsheet that the state used before, but getting that stuff in there, I haven't talked to him about this at all, whatsoever, and I'm sure we can make it work. It's just that I'm not sure exactly how that process would go for us with all the things we have, but sometimes Tyler can be finicky about things, so that's
Sometimes.
The learning curve.
Excel spreadsheets.
Challenging.
I love Excel spreadsheets, like compared to other things, but I also understand the simplicity of having it in a system where you can pull it right directly with everything else you have to. So I'm not opposed to it, just
Okay.
Oh, I don't think it would be a big learning curve, though. I mean, she's not gonna have to enter past stuff because it's already,
no, the
Well,
past stuff isn't in the Tyler system. though.
No,
So all of our
so-
existing equipment is gonna have to get moved into that Tyler system.
Yeah.
And
So-
that's
as far as the assets are concerned.
I mean, there'd be 100 items that will have to go into the Tyler system.
In future assets, though, as long as it's earmarked correctly, should automatically handle itself.
There'll probably have to be some additional information that will be added, but you'll be able to do it when you're doing it.
Learning how to put that vendor in and make sure that earmark is there so it moves it over. It's gonna be a learning.
I think the worst part is gonna be getting current assets in the software.
That's where we had issues before.
And going forward, it should.
I mean, even though we have a spreadsheet with all our assets on it, we still have to get that in the system, so.
So are you gonna have the same problem? You have an asset issue that,
Well, I'm sure we'll have the same issue as him,
Right.
but just, we don't have as many,
right?
you know, we have. things like that. I'm sure that initially it's gonna be kind of a pain, but I think once it's going and what's in there is correct, moving forward, it'll be pretty simple.
Streamline.
Assume, I don't know, I mean, I don't really know what else is out there for us to track our assets.
I'm trying to remember from the past, like, I think they encourage you to do fixed assets. I don't know if you have to fix assets. I believe Sac County doesn't do fixed assets. They don't track them now. You still track them anyway because you want to know,
Yeah,
but tracking them from an auditing's perspective, I don't believe they do. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I remember. So I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but I don't know that
Do they
everyone
use the
has to.
state of Iowa as their?
No, they use a private,
Outside source too.
yeah, the county and SAC both use private,
and we're using private now,
right?
but will we always, or will we go back, you know, and if we go back, guess what? Those state auditors are gonna wanna
They're
see
gonna want-
that, and if we haven't been doing it,
Then
we're gonna be in
boy.
the same place we're at now, where we're entering stuff back.
And I
into
think
it.
Correct.
I think you always want to
Yeah.
track your assets so you can, if you do any comparisons or do any data stuff, at least you can find it and get that information.
I guess the only thing that I see with this is I think it'd be streamlining it, and that way it would be good. It'd be taking extra step off, but just I would think you could create a spreadsheet as well and save the dollars.
Well, and it really doesn't matter to me. I don't care either way, whatever you guys do, it's fine. I mean, if you had a spreadsheet that said, you know, date of purchase, what it was, how much it was.
Did the private auditing company, did they have any suggestions or?
All they did was look at our list.
That's all they did. They didn't really tell you, didn't get one thing or another.
There wasn't anything noted in the audit that we were not compliant, or
The only thing I see positive about this time is the same software we got with the rest of the county.
Yeah, you know, and it's streamlining and it would make it easier, no doubt about that. It's saving a step.
I mean, like I said, it doesn't matter to me. I just wanted you to be aware that what we were doing, we can't do anymore. So we're not going to be able to utilize that spreadsheet that the state created. We needed to do something. And this was, I knew Tyler offered an asset program, so this was part of this. So we either do this or we do just an Excel spreadsheet that's very, very, very simple and it's not going to calculate depreciation or anything like that. It's just a track here.
You're gonna have to go through the calculation.
Well, I don't calculate depreciation. That's the auditor's job. The auditor, not me.
I think if we ever had an asset issue where it's going to be replaced through insurance, would that mean in being where you have some of the depreciation already figured out? I think
For-
maybe they would.
For when we've done stuff, when we've had some of the worst, like, I remember we had a motor get in an accident and had to figure it out. It was all insurance based. They didn't look back on anything. It was all based off present value versus or replacement value or whatever you say versus what the situation. So they didn't look back on that, but it might come in handy. I mean,
To give us an argument, like one way or another.
we try. I mean, generally, what I was always looking back on that is what's the value of that machine as it is today if it wasn't broke, and or how you depreciate it didn't really matter as much as what the value of it really was.
It really matters when you're looking at private sector that uses that for taxes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's for tax purposes.
So it really doesn't affect us that much, I don't think.
Well,
Depreciation can be, like for, in the case that you just said, I mean, that can be evaluated at the time of the accident.
And I know that when the auditors look at your assets, they have a way of depreciating. I mean, they can do it themselves.
And I don't think it's always the same as what anybody else, I mean, there's different ways of depreciating. I think
Sure.
they do it their own way, I think.
So I mean, if you would rather, we could certainly, they can have their spreadsheet that they have out there. We can create one for us, and just move forward with that. Not spending extra money. In the future, we need to do something different because the auditors are saying so, we can.
And I could talk to Amy too. She's not in today this morning, but I don't know what she did with fixed assets when she was using Tyler before.
Yeah.
If she had dealt with that, if it worked well for her. My history has been where I was before, and the change, trying to get existing stuff into the new is kind of cumbersome. But like I said, I think there was more some how to put it in, what to put in. There was some disagreements on that, and that caused part of the problem as well. But I don't see that happening here. That's a different situation. But I guess I shouldn't say anymore because I don't know enough about it. With that.
If this was in the software, wouldn't we be able to pull up data quicker than we would off the spreadsheet?
Yeah, well, you could probably run like a fixed asset report. It's
Dep-
probably gonna-
Depends on who you are. I'm not
Yeah,
very fluent with, I'm not gonna pull up,
And I'm
pull
not
up,
the
but
same
an
way.
Excel sheet, I can pull that up really quick. I use those all the time. Now, doesn't
You
mean
just
that.
go-
other
If you're
people
looking
can't.
for a particular item, you're still gonna have to scan, whether it be Tyler's or your spreadsheet, you're still gonna have to scan to find the item.
Yeah, I would say that you could probably, with the Tyler report, you could probably run it by a certain timeframe. of when it's purchased
Well, no, what I'm getting at,
versus-
let's see, you could pull, if you got that software, you could pick up, let's say, if you're looking at conservation. What their assets, how many assets they have in a certain range or something like that. You could pull that up, or if it's secondary roads.
One of the things.
Pull up different data is what I'm getting.
One of the things, I'm not sure how other people number their things, their asset numbers, but if conservation has an asset number, let's say it's 81, and secondary roads has an asset number and it's 81, does one of those have to change? Or how does that go into Tyler? Those are the things that I'm not 100% sure how that works, where if conservation had a spreadsheet, they can have their 81 and secondary roads has their spreadsheet, and they can have 81 and it's okay. again, not saying this is a bad idea, just those are some of the things that I'm not sure how that all fits. But I'm also comfortable with Excel and not comfortable with Tyler, so that's why.
So are the asset lists separated by conservation and secondary, or is it just one map, one?
The one we have
One
has
list.
everybody except for us. I believe. I don't think your guys is this owners.
And I don't have no clue.
And Joanne made that, well, she did it, but I'm not sure if she has those.
It sounds to me like we really don't know what we want to do here.
Well.
Well, I mean, obviously, we're already tracking him anyway. He's
Sure.
doing his on his spreadsheet. We're doing ours.
I'm trying to think of the applications, why we might need. I remember during when we had the ratio that it had to be public buildings, it had to have a certain dollar amount. And it would have been a quick way to find out what your dollar amount was once you knew what your damage basically was. It's been a quick way, but as I sit there and think about it, the Excel spreadsheet by calling his spreadsheet and her spreadsheet, we would have had a pretty good idea too of the total dollar amount. So I'm just trying to look at the applications we had versus would it help us, would it not help us? I just, if we ever go back to the state auditor, it's going to make a lot of work for both of these two to get caught up with life.
Well, not really, if they still have a spreadsheet though.
No, I think what would happen is those state auditors would take his spreadsheet and mine and probably combine them and create their own depreciation part of
Okay.
that. I'm assuming that's probably what they did back in the day.
Yeah, I'm just trying to step out for future boards where they have direction they may want to go.
But then that's probably gonna add on to the cost of the audit. If you got to have time to.
Well-
It definitely would for the state. The auditing firm we're using now, last year, we didn't have the software. I mean, the spreadsheet quit working, and when they wanted our assets, we didn't have the calculation part of it. So they just took what we had and said it must have worked. They didn't say, hey, you need to do this differently.
And so is the $1,875 a year. Adds up fast too. I mean, when you look at it, you gotta weigh it out both sides.
So would this have a search feature? So that you could,
I assume,
So
like, like right now, you can go in and search ledgers, or you can search general ledger numbers. It's probably similar to that, I would assume.
I think you're right, Courtney. I think there'd be, by description or by whatever you enter in as a field, I mean, there'd be a way to search, I
Yeah.
would think.
so that's something that would be handy if you had a search feature. And the other thing is how do you, how, with the state one, say if you delete, if you sold a piece of equipment or something, how is that handled?
It's voided out, that line.
So you have to look for that individual item and you have to delete it. Just-
And after a while, they go off,
Oh, okay.
so, I mean,
The depreciation. is
Right,
slow, it just
right.
falls off the schedule.
but that takes a while, but not as long, depending on.
It falls
cost.
completely, it's still an asset though. But it's
Yeah,
not
but it's not a-
depreciable, it's
it's-
depreciated already, but it's you're
What
still,
they're doing is they're saying there's certain assets, but when they get to a certain level, you don't track them anymore.
yeah, but it's still an asset that's sitting out there and you're still
Yes.
using it, it still has value.
Well,
So I don't know if you'd actually want it to completely go away.
and we have a lot of those things that
Yeah.
are much value, not much value, and they're still on our list, but that's where part of the problem was too, is this Excel spreadsheet list, and this is talking where I was. The Excel spreadsheet list, as far as assets we had, was different than what the auditing company wanted, because they only wanted this stuff. It's like, well, this is our list. And they wanted to take the other stuff off. It's like, no, you're not taking, you can take off whatever you want for what you're doing, but you're not changing our list because we still have it. We still need to track what we
This
have.
building's an asset, I'm sure it's been depreciated,
Well,
and it's an
Exactly.
asset, it's an asset. that-
Well, and I don't think you want to take something off of an asset list.
And
And
then
it's still sitting out there and all of a sudden one day it's not there.
That's right. You gotta.
Yeah.
And then-
Yeah, it's, all of a sudden, well, it's not on the asset list anymore. We must have sold it or somebody must have. taken it or, you know, that type of thing.
Well, if you, ours was done by year, so like if you go up to like 2005, it'll show up there, and then I think if it gets sold, you make a notation, sold on whatever, and then it just doesn't, like the next year it's not there. So that if you look at the year before, you can see it's sold.
Like that little red card.
The other list is what things are insured and what they're insured.
Yeah, they're
Some
on
things
that
are
list.
insured and some things aren't.
Right.
That's another thing. That's another list that's different from what is, I mean, everything that's insured is obviously an asset, but not
Well,
everything
and I
that's an
think-
asset is insured.
Fixed assets for the calculation of depreciation is different than assets. You know, the two different things, so.
Which comes to the $1 million question. You have to put your stamp of approval on every audit. Is this a tool that'll help you, or do you think it's absolutely necessary?
No, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I just wanted you guys to know that what we're doing, we can't do it anymore. So what are you doing now? If you want to kind of keep doing what we were doing with the spreadsheets. We've been doing that for 20 years or more. Or do you want to maybe upgrade what we're doing and do it this way?
How soon do you need to move?
I don't need to know. I mean, we haven't had it for
Let- let-
all
let me-
year.
well,
So
let's
there's no
put it this
hurry.
way. I'm thinking there's probably a lot of unanswered questions.
Okay.
And I'm thinking maybe you and Amy need to get together with Tyler and get some of those answers answered.
I had trouble even getting a quote. I made all of it. I kept leaving messages and they would get back to me, so.
Their response on stuff like that.
And it used to be good. Like when we first got them, we had no problems. And I don't know if they're having issues with their workforce, you know, like everybody else is, or what's going on.
The one thing I found, at least my, and I, the little bit that I dealt with them, the ones that came out and do training and like get you going, that's a different group of people than the ones that answer questions after you have issues. The training part of it, that generally, that seem to work well.
Yeah.
Once you get past that and now it's maintenance, that can be, pull your hair out.
I
I
would
mean,
agree with that.
put you on hold and they'll call you back. It might be in 2 days or, I mean, I don't know.
Or not.
Or not at all.
I'm gonna agree with Gene, and I think Dean's kind of leaning this way too. I have a really hard time. I would love to streamline it, make it easy for you, but I really have a hard time spending that kind of money when we already have the spreadsheet set up. Tyler really can't tell us what the selling feature would be. I mean, we can sit here and speculate and say, yeah, we can search things, but even on an Excel spreadsheet, you can search things. You can alphabetize it, you can do it by the year, you just have to hit on the column and it will.
Yeah.
It will do it for you.
Probably the biggest thing is do we want there to be some sort of depreciation? Does that need to happen? Because if that's what we want, then Tyler's probably gonna be the way to go. If you don't care about that as much, then maybe Excel's okay. But again, I don't want to say that putting it in Tyler's a bad thing. It's just, I had bad experience, but that doesn't mean it's gonna happen here, so.
Well, and I could email our auditors and ask them, you know, say,
Find out
hey,
what their application positives are.
Yeah,
That's,
Question that I have is, so right now, you're not getting support from the state on your,
spreadsheet?
Yeah.
No, because we don't use
so,
them anymore.
so what kind of support did you get?
They, we didn't really need any support because we just entered the assets, and when they would come out, they took that list and they did their whatever.
The state auditors?
It made it easier for them to give you the spreadsheet to use, because then they had the information in the form that they wanted it when they came.
Yeah, and it had all the formulas in it about, you know, depreciating things out and all that stuff.
So it was good for them.
Yes,
but
they're the
is-
ones that designed it. And we didn't pay, I mean, we probably paid for it in a roundabout way, but when Joanne couldn't get it to work anymore, we could figure out what was going on, and then Dalton did some digging and found out that it actually quits working, the calculations after 10 years.
Okay.
So they've kind of set that up. so
But that
we
does,
keep
that's not a
using
big,
it.
that's not a big thing to you.
Not to me, I
Sure,
don't care what the depreciation is.
sure.
But
So,
I probably should email our auditors and say, hey, we don't have this anymore. Do you need it?
But
If
is,
they say no, then we should just use a spreadsheet.
I mean, in the past, the government never used depreciation basically. And I think, but they're starting to move more that way to like a bit. I wouldn't know why they would use it because, but I think they're moving that way with.
It shows up on the audit. If you
Yeah.
look at the audit.
maybe insurance purposes.
yeah, or just value.
claim or
value of your property, you know.
I mean, this may be a lot of money, but really for title, that's probably the cheapest.
Like I said, I was surprised. I thought it was.
Except
gonna be-
they're getting that annual fee every year,
Yeah,
just, you know,
and
for doing what, you know, I mean,
But that's regardless whether it's.
An annual fee for a search bar.
yeah,
Well, I mean, they obviously do all the updates and
yeah.
make sure that.
I think you just, let's, why don't you and Amy and then maybe check with the auditors. And if you can get a hold of someone from Tyler, I know it might be.
Well, I will worry about
next time
that
we go to
then,
ISAC,
after tomorrow.
title.
Yeah.
That's okay.
You gotta worry about
But
that.
I mean,
Can you actually
I
get on that
think-
today?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of
You gotta worry about that next week.
questions that need to be answered here. That's,
If it truly makes life a lot easier and it's really worth the pennies and we can show why it's worth it, fine.
yeah,
If not,
because to me, if it works like it's supposed to. That's not a bad fee for me.
And there may be places where having that integrated in with everything else, that may be a good thing. I don't.
It's hard to say. It'd be awesome when I have it. I'm used to it, so.
Well, yeah. Anyway,
Well, I will bring this back at a later date. possibly.
yeah, let's find out some more information.
All right.
Okay, next we have the plats. We have, there's two of them here. I think they're, both are basically acreages. Straightforward.
Make motion to approve.
So you're talking about the Augustine plat too?
There's the Augustine plat and there's the one for Ludowitz.
Littlewitz. So we only got the one though from Sarah. Let me get two of them from Sarah. Well, this is what I got it here, but
Well, I think these came at different times. If I remember right.
They would. The Augustine one is the most recent. The other one's older.
So does anybody have any questions on these? or- Man, I looked them up, they're both acreages. I'm not so sure some are, there's the follow-up on the. Some of this property needs maybe switching some hands around the outside borders of it.
On the Laverne, I can't pronounce his last name.
Ludowitz.
Ludowitz. I mean, it's 126 acres.
yeah.
Is what the survey is, and I'm assuming that maybe the property's gonna be getting sold.
well, I kind of wondered because it was requested by John. Martin.
Yeah, so there's something, well, it's in a trust. That's a good one. Anyway,
Well, you know, I'm just saying that I don't see the aerial of the Augustine. Is anyone else does the aerial? So that means we didn't get it from Sarah. You got it. That's what I'm looking at. It is the
yeah,
info
I
that you sent
show,
out.
I show two in the paper vision for the supervisor approval. There's two plots to be approved.
Right. Well,
You
you
think we
know,
got the plat, but we didn't get the area.
yeah, well, Sarah never sent out the plat.
Yeah.
or the aerial.
You
And,
know,
you know, and I
Usually
think,
not
You know
an
what,
IT
you might be
conference.
right on that, because I think this one I did look up on the county website.
yeah, I mean, I complimented on her for sending those out so that you can see a little bit, have a better idea of what we're actually looking at. And when we don't get it, that's the Ludowitz one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Well,
the
and
one
other
that
one-
you're referring to, she was at a conference that week, and that's why we didn't get the.
so we didn't get it, yeah, but she was gone last week.
Well, she was not, I don't know. Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Yeah. All right.
I'm okay if you just want to do the one you got the aerial on and the other one, you know, that doesn't matter to me. Or you can do the one you got the aerial one on and do the other one subject to GIS approval or, you know, whatever. If this one's not right, it'll go back through the whole system again. It is.
Where did you get that?
Sarah.
Oh, Sarah's email?
Okay.
I have flat on obviously, but I don't
If you
have-
scroll up, I think it's on.
From Sarah's? And the last, this is the last,
What's on the same email?
Well, maybe not.
so this is the Laverne Ludowitz one, and I got this both. You know, I mean, if I know what you're talking about now,
Okay.
because
It's right.
Augustine's got some on one side of the road and on the other side. So and they're both,
This was
different.
October 26th.
I'm okay with it.
Well, and if there's an issue with this one, this Augustine one, it's gonna come back through. Because we'll obviously do one of these and then we re-approve it, so it's probably not a huge deal.
I looked them both up. I mean, they're based
There was 2 inches now, October 26th.
acreage boundaries more than anything.
Well, here's one.
Sheet 2 up there. Scroll up.
Oh, okay.
There's another one below.
There it
It's the
is.
bottom one.
Yep. I missed that.
Because it just has certain listed ones.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this. I don't have any problem. I'll make a motion to approve both plats.
I had a motion.
Oh, you had a motion,
Yeah.
Rich?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
It's been moved in second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay. Authorized fiscal contact and signatory, board signatory for substance abuse claim. This is the grant that we have, subcontract with new opportunities. And the state has us, usually, it used to be the chairman signed off on it, but every time we did that, had switched and we had to go through it, and it is a pain to get that done. It's like done a couple times. So in the past, what we did after to eliminate that issue, we have had Joanne act as our signatory for this program. Well, with her retirement, we need to set up a new signatory, and that's what we're doing here. So we plan on having. Who should we go?
Emily.
Emily Lowe.
Yeah.
Any questions on that? But by having one of the office staff do it, then we ain't switching it every year. Because it is a,
Hoop we jump through,
oh,
or two.
terrible. It's a lot of.
Well, it's the state.
Yeah, that's just what I was gonna say, and I'm trying to find a good way to say it.
Well, and I think they even had
State
issues
websites are,
signing the contracts at road projects when they were with the state thing.
Well, now they're trying to do it all electronic and it's just, I mean, yeah, we'll have one that'll be coming up in December, letting it Britain that bridge. And
Yeah.
we'll be signing that contract in January and it's.
You did, bro. Okay, she was gonna send down a map.
We got it.
Oh, okay.
We got it. I missed it somehow, I guess. I don't know.
Good try.
I just gotta work out for nothing. It's
Jeez.
fine.
well, okay. Right now, we're working on this fiscal compact. She wants to have him do that. Joanne's been doing it.
Isn't this the same thing you guys do? No, this is a grant.
Well, This is what it's, we used to have, the chairman signed it, and every year we have to change it, and it's just a pain. It's just working with the state system. So what we've done is made a staff member the signatory, which has been Joanne.
Okay.
And now her retirement after these points. Courtney wants to do him.
I'll make a motion to authorize Emily Lowe to be the fiscal contact / board signatory
I'll
for the
second.
substance abuse grant.
Been moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next we have is discuss fiscal year 23 salaries, health insurance rates for budgeting purposes. Courtney, tell them your story.
Well, I want to get going on the budget. And I know that it might be a while yet before the board decides what increases, if any, there will be. I know there's some union negotiations that have to happen. The comp board hasn't met. But I'd really like to get the budget worksheets out to the departments and we can get going on those. The sooner the better, in my opinion. That's the first question I get asked when I send that. What do we use for salaries? What do we use for health insurance? So I'd like to have just at least a range for them to use. You know, if you want to figure low, you want to figure high. My recommendation on the salaries would be to figure low, because you don't want to say 6% and come back and it's 2. Because, I mean, even if we tell the department heads what it is, I have a feeling that it might just be known. You know what I mean? And I don't want it to influence union negotiations or
That's
anything
my
like that.
big
So I think, yeah, or the comp board. So my recommendation would be to keep the salary dollar amount low. And know that going into the budget when you meet with your department that, okay, we only calculated 2. It may be more than that, maybe not, but at least they have a number to put in there and they know where they're at. Health insurance, you know, we've been very fortunate the last couple of years, but we haven't really done much with health insurance. To be honest with you, our balance looks great. And we haven't had a lot of claims. I mean, things seem to be going as well as they were last year, even with COVID going on, so. You know, you may be able to be really low on that too, you know, just go a couple percent. And if you guys decide not to raise the rates, obviously. But they're gonna wanna know what to use. So, in order, I mean, a lot of counties they start this in October and November. And I don't wanna wait till December.
Courtney had a value. Point is go to the department heads and we have them put out a number and then they come back and then we change it and then they have to go back to them. And it's just a lot of back and forth and I think we can eliminate some of that. The danger is the comp board and the union negotiation years of getting that number out there, but I think Courtney has a valid point that we start off low, which that's probably very fair. At least the department heads have rough ideas of where they're at. And our insurance, I think we can probably decide whether we're going to make a big move or not. This year, we've been trying to move that 1,500, 750 spread up. Been a strange year, actually it's been a strange 18 months. So maybe this is the year we don't do anything with it. So that's, you know, those are all, but I think we need to get our thoughts out there and kind of get some of that kind of ironed out going into the budget season.
We made a big switch last year between the two plans.
Yeah, we didn't, the last 2 years, we have not increased the high deductible at all. And we haven't increased.
We've been trying to get that spread out a little bit, and I think we're kind of getting to where we need to be, but this is a year that we continue, or whether we not, that's what we're here to kind of decide about.
Well, I think she wants to get these figures out so she gets things done because Courtney definitely wants to have the budget done sooner this year than we have in the past. And not necessarily that it gets certified, but we have all the budget work done.
I want to go on vacation, so.
Hopefully by the 1st of February, right?
And there's nothing not, you know, the nice thing is if you tell every department, okay, figure 2% for salaries, they get that number, and then the board comes back and says, congratulations, everybody's getting 5, and everybody's really excited. All you gotta do is take your number and add 3% to it, you know, I mean, it's a little easier to add percentage than it, you know, than it is to start from fresh. Then you know you're increasing your FICA and your IFRS 3% on top of what you already did, so.
And I think by doing a low number, I agree, because by putting any other number out there, I think could
Send
our
signals.
union negotiations.
They're sending signals.
Yes, and
Well, yeah, and you know, it's been pretty easy to give you a number in the past years when COLA was at 1.9 or something like that.
This year's
And
different.
now this year is different, and we're gonna probably come in with this number that we're gonna give you. Or that COLA is.
Yeah.
And so it's almost an artificial number. It's just a number that you work off of.
you know, I think that's probably a good word to use for it. This is an artificial number.
Yeah.
I mean, and this should, by rights, this
It's
should
just a
be,
budgetary number.
this should be a number that's only used by the department heads, and it should not even be made aware of anybody else.
So as we're
And-
talking about it now.
I mean, but we're.
Yeah, but I think as long as everybody's aware that we're just using this number to
Yeah.
get started,
Exactly.
and it will change. I mean,
Yeah.
it always does, even when, you know, in
Sure.
the past, you've said,
You could say,
use 2%, it came in at 2.25, or, you know.
On the
Yeah,
other
we
hand,
budgetary
we've always
number
said
could work.
these numbers are not set in stone
Right.
until we certify the budget.
Budgetary number. is what
Yeah,
we're throwing
you could
out
say
there.
2.5, it could go to 5, or you would freeze. You don't know.
Yeah. I'd say, yeah, you're better off keeping it low. And,
Insurance, where do you want to start with insurance? We'll start on that side. first.
I'd leave the high deductible plan alone, like we have that, and maybe do like 3% on plan, or 2%.
No, wait,
We've always been using like 7%.
Well, yeah, but we've never,
We've never,
We've
we've
never-
never gotten that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna depend on what they want. They come back for us on rates too.
true.
Yeah,
You're
that's the big
absolutely
thing.
true.
You're saying rates could be favorable this year because. last
I
year
don't
was
see
so low
them
points.
not being, because I look at our reserves as kind of a judge of what our plan's doing, because the lower our reserves, the more money we're spending, and our reserves are good, so.
Reserves are up and the stop loss gets quite as high as that I've seen in the past.
No, and I mean, I look at those every month, and the people that have been over lost to them. So that has a lot to do with our
Sure.
rates as
That's what
well.
I've heard some insurance, some outfits that got their rates now, and they're surprised about they went up.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think they had it. So
Well, I'm sure that they're
they're gonna
taking
want,
some larger.
they want to play catch up. sometimes.
Uncharted territory with everything that's been going on.
So, I mean, I don't care if you say, hey, high deductible 0, low deductible 5, and we'll work from what, you know, Clark comes back with. He usually meets with you guys. in
Well, and that we
December,
can change that later on into plans.
Sure.
I'd say let's just throw a figure out right now for both,
I like your suggestion.
like 4% maybe.
She said 0 and 5.
0.5.
Yeah.
But-
No, are you talking wages or are you talking
I'm
insurance?
talking insurance.
Insurance.
Yeah.
Just figure 4% increase.
I'm okay with that number, but I also want to make sure that everybody knows that employee retainment is going to be a large item out there. And insurance could be one of our better leverage points. So I like the number, but let's not get sunk our teeth into that.
Well, I just.
Well, whether you use 4 or 5, it's less than what we've given you in the past, because it's always been.
Like I
7.
said, and I think our spread's getting there.
Yeah.
Is it where I'd like to see it? Not exactly, but this is the year that we wanted it. Like I said, the times have been a little rough, and I'm glad the employees have stayed with us through some of the issues that we faced, so.
Mine is 0 and 4.
0.4, and I would recommend 3% as far as wages. just for introducing that conversation?
I would say two.
Two.
I'm gonna, you know what, I'm gonna say 2.5.
2.5?
God, you're a good meeting.
There you go.
You're in the
Well,
wrong
again,
business.
I don't want to send signals.
Yeah, I know. I think
know
it's, I
it's
think,
gonna
well, I think this is gonna be a highly debatable subject this year.
Mhm.
I think you're correct.
Well, everything's been said. Employee detention's gonna be there.
One thing-
We'll do different issues than we've ever faced on this board since. I've
That's
been
why
on there.
this one union negotiation that supposedly has got a benefits element. I'd like to know what those figures are, because that's gonna drive a lot.
You know what I would like to see this year is I'd like to see the compensation board workshop. And then have the compensation board meeting.
So I have a note here, I'm gonna email my training today and tell him, let's get something scheduled, so I can recommend that.
But have two meetings.
Last year, they.
That was a joke last year.
It was 14 minutes long.
We didn't even need to show up last year. We walked in, motion second, done.
So I think they're, and for their benefit.
Yeah.
So that they can make some better decisions on.
I think I need the second meeting. The first one should be proposals.
And I don't know if we've ever had, or if we've had, have we ever had?
It's
two
been,
meetings?
I think we have, but it's been a long
I
time.
It's
think,
been a long
yeah,
time.
It's been 3 or 4 years.
And they've
at
always
least.
talked, and they've always talked about that,
Mhm.
and I was really surprised, the last year when they made a decision so quickly. And I'm not sure why that was, but I heard from several people that they were like, whoa, like,
What happened?
this happened really quickly, but I know they've all said that they wouldn't mind having 2 meetings, so I'll maybe mention that to him and see.
Maybe one in November, one in December,
Obviously, we don't have any control over,
right?
if they set a meeting and they want to make a decision, they're entitled to do that. We can't be telling them what to do, other than your own comp board member, you obviously can say what you.
I do remember though that they had said they were gonna start doing a workshop and maybe even come up here and kind of get to know what you're representing or sit down with the person that you're representing.
Yeah, I'm fortunate that my representative worked for the county for some, maybe 30 some years, so she knows,
What kind
as
of-
well as she can, knows what I do.
What kind of information can you provide?
I always give them the ISAC salary survey, which is, just says what other counties pay their elected officials and employees. Give them the COLA thing. They give them the one that shows how many employees are in each office in the counties, so they can look at what people get paid and say, well, that auditor makes a lot of money, but, oh, she has 2 people in the office. This auditor makes quite a bit less, but she's got 5 other people.
County populations on there. too,
Yep, it's ranked by population. So that's probably the biggest thing that I provide.
They have last year's salaries for this year.
Don't
I-
you provide them with salaries across the street?
Cities, yep. So they get the city salaries,
They have quite a bit of information to work off of.
code section that says what they can and can't do. And a sheet that shows what salaries they have approved at their meetings and what the board actually approved. Whether or not the board agreed with the recommendation or the board. There's, I don't know how many years is on that list, maybe 10 or 8. I don't remember. So that's what I always give them. I give them the same thing every year, but just updating. Anyway, I'm gonna. That was.
So where are we at?
I was gonna email
Where are we
them.
at on insurance then?
0 for the high, 4 for the low,
2.5.
and 2.5 for salaries.
I'm okay with that.
And this needs to be let known, this is just a
Artificial.
artificial figure.
All right, I will write that down. So I
Budget.
can- Artificial number for budgetary purposes.
There you go.
How does that sound? That will be your words.
Secondary roads did retain their union too. I don't know if you guys seen that or not. They did.
Oh.
Yeah, I did let Gene know that.
And I left Scott know because he's on, I didn't, I was gonna, that's gonna go back in my committee report. But not only the secondary roads, but the ambulance also.
And
And
he also
certified. They both do?
The
What's
ambulance
that?
was overwhelming. I mean, there wasn't any.
Or, you know, retain their
I
unions.
think roads had a couple, but the majority was yes, so.
They dissolve.
No, retain.
Retained.
Oh,
Retained.
okay. No, that's right.
Yeah, I was hoping. All right. Anything else on the budget?
No, I think I have what I need. I did get the new IFRS rates. I hate to say this without having it in front of me, but I don't think they changed it for regular members. Anyway, I'll give that to the departments as well to use. Do you want to worry about the pre-budget meetings at a later date? Let me get the worksheets out and give it some
Get the
time.
sheets out and then,
So maybe are you guys gonna keep the same
Assignment.
assignments, or do you wanna like just make a motion to that effect at some meeting, or? So we could do that. My plan is after everything slows down tomorrow, I'm usually sitting here waiting for the phone to ring, so I have a little bit of, I don't wanna say free time on an election day, but a lot of times I get a lot of stuff caught up because I just wait for the phone. So I'm thinking either Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm gonna try to get those budget worksheets out. So do you wanna maybe like on the 15th, do the pre-budget assignments?
as far as I'm
Or
concerned, you can leave them the way they are.
I'm fine with that too. Does everybody know who they have?
Friend again. I probably forget.
I will do that.
I mean, we'll have to wait till they get their stuff put
Yeah.
together.
So I will get those done. I'm gonna say, depending on how the election is this week.
Because
get it.
I haven't heard anything, you know, as far as union yet when Renee and them get stuff. He set up to me.
Well, and I know for like a department that has union, it's kind of hard to do the budget. I would assume if you're around the number that they gave for everybody else, it should be. At least you have a number. Yes.
You don't have any problem keeping the same budget. Meet groups, do you?
The free
Free
budgets.
budgets.
I'm gonna email that list out. in case you need to see one.
All right. Next we have is, anything else on that?
No, thanks.
Next, we have manure management annual updates, double D Cork LLC, section 34, Eden Township, no changes. Wayne Reesburg, section 21, Roselle Township, added acres, crop rotation, or option deals using manure analysis. And Chad Galen, section 31, Pleasant Valley Township, is an original plan. Okay, next we have is committee reports.
I'll go first. Mine was really easy. I haven't done anything for the last 3 weeks, basically.
Lost money in Vegas.
Upcoming, I do have an agenda item for you to watch for. Or did you get that email for the 28E for the WIWD? We're gonna do that 28E change on the right terminology for it. We need to have that, but that's a resolution for the amend the articles. It's for forum groups.
Yeah, but I thought the email I had said something about tentative or preliminary, or is that the one we're supposed to use?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I'll get that. I got a copy of the resolution. If you don't have it, let me know.
Do you want to do that next week?
Yeah, we'll do that next week if we could, just to approve it from our board.
I gotta write that down.
Other than that, don't have anything on the agenda. Well, I do have that. I'll be having a reception for her appointment, and I probably will be attending that. I'll be that this Thursday. Other than that, I don't have much else, anything else.
Let's stop before everybody goes to the rest of the committee report. One of the things I was gonna bring up, I'm sure you all got a copy of the email from Isaac in regard to Thursday's meeting. It sounds like pretty important that we have at least representation attending that meeting, because that's how we're gonna, and I assume that means not only supervisors, but also the auditors. And county attorneys, our county attorneys will be part of this. But it's how we're gonna file for these stuff and this opioid settlement. Do we want to do that as a group here?
I'd like to come in here and try to do it from here, but
And I kind of talked to Dalton and we, usually the probation that they can try to move them down.
I've already registered, so I have no problem with it coming here.
Yeah.
we can go
Does
on
that,
that.
does that make sense? Now, I do have, I'm gonna try to make it, but I also have a doctor's appointment for that, so I don't know when I'll get back.
What
So
time
1
is that?
o'clock Thursday.
It's at 2:00.
It's at 2.
Dalton-
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
I think Dalton can set that up in here. And Courtney, if you can't with election, you can't make it, I would suggest you have Emily or some, at least somebody.
Well, I'm guessing if you guys are all here, we have a quorum and it's a meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need to post an agenda
Okay,
and all that good stuff.
that's
Yeah.
true.
That is true.
All right, let's
Let's do it that way. Yeah, okay. See if we get John to come over and just.
so John's gonna be part of this.
He's like.
He's
our
gonna-
poster.
He's gonna be-
I think he'll be down at, well, where,
He'll be down there.
down there
Or at his office.
Okay, let's figure that out Tuesday, and I'm gonna try to make it back, but if I don't, you know what's going on.
Is it Thursday?
Thursday at 2.
Okay, I think it's a Tuesday, like, I'm out.
But
Thursday, I should be able to be here. I'm
Thursday,
guessing it
2
won't
o'clock.
take much more than an hour.
So then I added some to your schedule.
Yeah, I guess I do that.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Gene. That's a good point.
Well, I mean,
I did have it on there and I wouldn't.
if you read the email, they're pretty, like, make sure,
Yeah,
so that's why I wanted to cut you off. Okay. who
I
else?
can go next. Last week, Scott and I met with Jamie Webker and 3 of the volunteer firefighters in West Side
Medics.
Medics. What'd you say?
He said firefighters.
Whatever.
EMT.
Anyways, we met at the ambulance department and we started to discuss picking up West Side as far as part of our route for the ambulance. There was a lot of good discussion. Jamie's gonna be working on it this next week, and the week after he needs to talk to John Warden, E911. And here's the kicker is, so these gentlemen, they didn't get a lot of pushback from our side of it, because obviously we want to be good neighbors. Jamie didn't think it would add on a lot to their already current call log. It wouldn't take us out of system. I think they're going to, in my opinion, that group of men are gonna get more pushback from the board of supervisors from Crawford, because he does need to have that conversation with board of supervisors over at Crawford. In regards to a fee, obviously, we're gonna have wear and tear on a vehicle and things like that, and we can't, I wouldn't wanna see our county taxpayers paying for that, so there would be a cost associated with this.
Just a yearly flat fee.
Yeah, but we didn't make that decision on what that number would be yet. So I don't know if that deterred them from wanting to do this, but I kind of felt like it was still, they wanted to move forward. The biggest problem that they're having is call time. So Crawford County currently right now only has 1 ambulance up and running. So if they were to pick up a patient in West Side, 90% of their patients come to Carroll. So not only is it pick up the patient, go to Carroll, come back, now Crawford's out of an ambulance for over 2 hours. There is nothing.
But it's their benefit, it's to their benefit to do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
West Side
absolutely.
definitely, yeah. So when we first met, we thought they were just talking to the city of West Side, but they actually kind of want us to do the whole, I
The
meant to
fire
get you
district
guys,
of West Side.
yeah, I meant to get you guys a map. The map they gave us wasn't really great, so we're getting a new map. But Brita would answer to some of the stuff up on the north side. Manning would cover some of the bottom stuff, which they already do, and we just do the west side.
Most of the time it follows the old telephone machine. Because when you dial 911, it's easier just to route it all to one spot. So typically, that's the map you're looking at,
Well,
not all.
so I was gonna say the
New-
county
new
line
technology
has
changed
has
that.
determined that. for, I don't know how many years as far as.
Yeah, the
ambulance is
county,
concerned.
yeah, but with the new technology, just some of that can be altered also.
So how far does this line go in the cross?
Not very-
3 to 4 miles into it, but it would be from a little bit south of Manning to a little bit north of Rita. I think I'm right.
It's long this way,
I forgot it.
not very far. It's
Pretty much the county north-south, but just 3 miles.
And we did get into the weeds on a lot of discussion, and that's why it's great discussion. We didn't make any decisions or anything like that, but as far as, how that looks for the comp center, because obviously those phone calls will still go to Crawford, then we'll know to call Carroll so that we go. They talked about there's a way you can change the address so that it would just directly come to Carroll, but we said no to that because at any point in time, we can cancel this agreement. So it'd be, if it's not working out, if it's becoming too cumbersome for Jamie and his crew, and it's becoming too much, we can say, you know, it's just not working out. Likewise for them as well, with Crawford. So,
Well, you know, the only thing is, you know, if you're talking 3 miles into Carroll or Crawford County, that's 9 miles from Rita. Where if you were to go north, we're 2 miles, it's just 2 miles from Sac County. Does that mean, is there a line up there as well? I mean, are we, are we obligated to go into Sac County then as well? I mean.
No, it wasn't. It didn't.
Well, you know what I'm saying though, I mean.
It's,
where does it
if
start and
that's-
stop?
Yeah,
Because this
so
isn't
it's,
gonna be
it
the
was-
last
so I
one.
mean, gee.
it was
what-
defined by.
Sac
what's-
County would sure like to give you a little bit of money if you come up 3 miles or 5 miles into Sac County.
And I did bring that up because I said, what says it, who's to say it stops at West Side and doesn't go to Vail? Because nobody.
Well, yeah, there's not, what is it, what, it is about 3 miles to Vail
You
from
get
West
the
Side.
same situation too.
Yeah, into Guthrie County.
He brought up how there was a place in Guthrie County that was too far. One of his points was, most of the people in West Side choose St. Anthony. There's also an outreach, St. Anthony doctor office in West Side that most of them go to. So, I mean, yeah, and again, if I had the map, but it is clear, it's cut and dried where the west, I mean, it's not a mutual aid situation where we would go into Sac County. It would be just the fire district of what the city of West Side's fire department. Nothing's in stone yet. They haven't ran it past their board of supervisors.
I've talked to one of the supervisors in Crawford County, and I don't think you're gonna see any authorization from him. I don't think so.
You
I don't know what the
shouldn't.
fee is.
You shouldn't, yeah, it depends on.
No, I mean, he's absolutely correct. It provides better services for the retaining part, the remainder part of the county. Because they don't lose their ambulance over here for a minimum of 2 hours.
Gee, if they only have one ambulance.
I know, running it out.
Holy
county.
cow.
And if it's on the south side or on the southwest side of Crawford County, it's a long.
They'll take
way.
as much mutual aid as they can get, I would think. It's a whole lot cheaper than buying ambulance and providing staff.
We only have one.
But we also got into the conversation of who supplies the items for calls, and we said, well, you guys already are paying for that service, so obviously we're gonna charge you for the supplies. Carroll County's not eating that.
In Crawford County Hospital right now is who gives them the new defib pads, whatever, that would say the same. but
The IVs, they start all that
Exactly.
stuff.
That would say the same.
We would not refurbish their ambulance for them. It's still in the early.
It's
stages.
a way early stages, and so Jamie was gonna do some more headway. I think he was gonna have, I think he's had conversations with you, and then he's gonna have more conversations with, Jason downstairs.
And I went there Friday to look at the new ambulance, or the ambulance, and he did have that conversation in the comm center here, has no problem with it.
I'll be honest with you, I tell you what, the way volunteerism's going in a lot of these smaller communities. I think the way that, in the future, the way that ambulance and fire districts are gonna look at, are gonna look a lot different than they do today. A lot different. And whether it's right or wrong, it's just saying that's the direction it seems to be headed.
So I think they said West Side had 25 calls last year. 14 of them were transports. And 9 of them came to St. Anthony. Not that you can say every year is gonna be the same, you can't predict that. but-
Yeah.
They have 3 volunteers on the west side, and he was assuming about 4 in Arcadia.
So did you say anything about employee retention in Crawford County? They have a hard time keeping employees. I know that's a big problem up in Caledon County. I commented on that before, is that they can't get
And first
and keep
responders or the actual county
EMTs
employees.
and county employees. I mean, they go, as soon as they get trained, they go up to Fort Dodge and, they get more money and they just move. And so I'm just wondering, I'm sure there can be burnout if you've only got one ambulance and you're just going like this all the time.
But that was very made aware to Jamie too. If it starts to put too much on your staff, we pull out. We're not gonna overburden his staff. So
And he was in the process, or had already reached out to the Manning first responders and the Toledo first responders and the Arcadia first responders. Their first responders would still respond also. I mean, they would be the primary ones, but if it were a mutual aid, well, they could still, they could call West Side right now, or they could call Breda right now.
I just wanted to update that. That's where we're at with that. I mean, there's still some information fact finding happening. That was it for last week. This week, I will be attending the opioid meeting with you guys, and then Gina Vega's reception on Thursday.
John?
Wait, I'm the same as Stephanie, just did a on that. Go ahead, John.
I had a break in the action. I just wanted to speak with Madam Auditor. So I thought I'd come down. I just had a difficult court hearing. Unfortunately, I had to give a speech I've given too many times before. The vehicular homicide case, drunk driving. And my final argument is short and sweet. If you don't go to prison for killing somebody, what do you go to prison for? So that's what happened with the 21-year-old this morning. There are no winners.
And we're getting back to you, opioid, you're gonna be in part of that discussion on Thursday.
I guess I'm a presenter, so I better be.
You going down there?
We're
Kicking around having a meeting right here.
that would be great. Then you
I thought we can all be here together.
that'd be good.
So if we do that, would that, obviously, we're gonna have a quorum. Can we do this meeting, listen to it and be in open session? Or would you recommend it being a closed session?
I think it should be closed session.
Okay.
We're going to discuss the settlement proposal. And the committee has negotiated what we believe is the best we're going to get from the state of Iowa. And it's time to move forward. There's some pretty big ifs, and that's what the meeting is about. It's a rather interesting thing. And all I know is that over cocktails and hors d'oeuvres Friday night, the Attorney General told me that he's given what he's going to. So I think we come to the point where we need to say yay or nay, and there's risks and rewards of both. And ultimately, it's going to be up to the counties, especially the participating counties.
Well, we won't have to do anything with live streaming the meeting if it's a closed session.
Right, just make sure Dalton gets us hooked up to the right spot. That's all I need.
From a technical point of view, except for my comments, I think your comments should not go out to the rest of the group.
Right. We don't comment.
No, I think you can. You can do that, can't you? I mean, I don't think, I would not want your responsiveness to something I say to be put out to the group. I think that's an issue.
Shut the mic off.
And if you want to make a comment, I can just jump over there and type it in real quick.
Or perhaps a better approach would be to do the outside presenters, and then do it in closed session. I don't know, but I'm not going to be comfortable publicly talking about the details. First of all, it's millions of dollars. I think it's very complicated. And
I can see publicity derailing what we're trying to accomplish.
Just leave the whole thing to the closed session.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
We don't even have to have our camera, we can just listen.
it might be a hybrid. It's,
We could come down here, I can actually pull it up there, so you can all
Well, we can
watch
have our
it.
camera, they can see us.
Well, or we could not use the camera and just listen.
Mhm.
And we could see
Courtney would
them.
like
We
to
could
not
see
use a
them.
camera and just listen.
You can see them, and if it's a Zoom situation, you can block yourself off, you can see them.
But you're right, Gene.
Yeah. All kinds of options.
well,
Yeah.
it's, the best deadline's coming up, like first week in January, so. This is the time. I just want to encourage you to participate. I've got 11 o'clock sense. How about how much longer do I have?
We're about done.
We have two more community reports.
Okay, I'll just hang.
My next?
Yep.
Okay, last week, John, thanks for doing the Stevens Group review.
Oh.
And so last week,
Thank you for doing my job. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be back.
okay, we coordinated with the Stevens Group. We're going to have our first introductory Zoom meeting with them on Wednesday and kind of line up how that process is going to work. Region 5 hazmat. We had our budget meeting on Wednesday. It went well, relatively speaking. And when I say well, we're not going to increase the contribution, so that's good. When Scott Jacobs from Calhoun County and I were made chairman and vice chair the first year, we worked off of, the budget worked off of what our revenue was going to be, and then we just worked backwards. And when it came to the only flexible part of that budget is equipment. So if there's not enough money to cover the equipment for that year, they really have to squeeze. So that budget line has gone from 18,000 to 57,000 or 5,700 this year. So it's been decreasing every year. And but we have the revenue from the sale of the old hazmat truck yet sitting there. We opted to keep that in reserves. So there's $38,000 there that's just sitting there. We opted, there was some discussion in our past meetings about using that money to lower our contribution or to pay off the truck, the present truck earlier, and we just decided to leave it right where it's at for now. So we're going to have that discussion every year, probably at our annual meeting. That was my week last week. This week, I'm just meeting with, let's see, when are we meeting? Thursday, yeah. And I have a meeting at Wednesday with the Stevens Group.
All right, my week, Tuesday, I had policy council meeting, we went through all the program reports and stuff. On the early center-based, we're pretty well filled up in them. We still have some openings yet. Our budgets all look good. We did go through the program standards, and there was some, basically we changed some bylaws that include changing program standards and membership from 3 to 5 years on the board of policy council and some other things like that. They did also do the election of new officers for the year. Probably one of the biggest things we had our discussion was the issue on the fire out at the Head Start Center in Carroll. That is, the building is being right now being gutted. sort of first portions of it. Right now, it looks like it's gonna be about insurance is saying $750,000 damages, so we'll have to see how that all goes. We did have some approval waiver, and that was a reduction on our in-kind stuff that we reduced that. And then we did also $190,000 because we aren't getting volunteers to come in the classroom due to COVID. So we did approve that waiver. And then also we approved our continuation grant for $1.5 million. And that was a positive. Then on Thursday, I had new opportunities board meeting. A lot of that was concerned again about Head Start. We did approve a new member from Audubon County, John Hayes. Went through our financials. We also approved that waiver on that Head Start for the in-kind stuff. And on the, one of the things, they do have a new program coming out that's it's like fly heat, but it will be for water and utilities instead that the state is putting out. We also did have some additional signatories that were put on that contract. And that was basically it. This week I have the paper and radio, and then Thursday's the ISAC opioid meeting. And Thursday also is Gina Beatty's open house. Courtney, anything else?
Nope.
Ben, is there any comments from those in attendance?
There is not.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
it's been moved to adjourn. Is there a second? Second. Been moved to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.